Good evening, it's UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. Where is the market headed? Going forward, we had a nasty red candle today. We haven't seen a candle like this in a long time. But what we've seen since the lows in November of 2012, the Abenomics low, is what we've seen as V bottoms. And then ultimately, back in August, a W bottom. This is Syria double W bottom. And then we had the government shutdown V bottom. And here we are. We were consolidating here, possibly ready to make a move higher, and no. Bullish sentiment got a little ahead of itself, and it looks like we're going to pull back further here. So I wouldn't expect to hit new all-time highs like we hit today in the near future. I think ultimately we will at some point. But look at this trend line here that we've seen since early in the summer. I think that's a more likely scenario. We might bounce back tomorrow. We have the jobs report, big jobs report tomorrow, where we're probably going to report less jobs than everyone expects. And bad economic data in this marketplace is good news. That means we're going to get more assistance from the Federal Reserve. Look what the ECB did today. That's why we hit new all-time highs on the S&P 500 futures. And I think if we do indeed bounce, it's going to be a great selling opportunity. As short term, we're going to head back down and put in another V bottom at about 170, 169, possibly 167.50 if it's a quick, dramatic fall. And that will be another buying opportunity because there's nowhere else to put your money, folks. Nowhere else. Been saying it at Option Millionaires over the last couple of years. You can look up the blog posts, but you can see every dip has been a great buying opportunity. Let's go to some individual stocks. I put Tesla on my private Twitter today. I got into 144 calls at 95 and 85 cents. Sold them at $1.21. They hit $2 before pulling back at the end of the session. And you can see the stock has pulled back. I was the first. You can say Value Walk or anybody else who brought up the Tesla fire, the third Tesla car to go on fire. I was the first. Yesterday evening, you can check Twitter, go to StockTwits. Brought that to you, and you can see the stock has been falling since earnings. Support at 135. That's what I brought up at the blog at OptionMillionaires.com. I still hold true to that. We could hit it tomorrow. I think this is long-term support. Will hold, and I think ultimately we're going to head higher from there. It might take a couple days to consolidate in that 135, 140 range, but ultimately it's going to burst back up to the upside. VXX talked about this. Actually, one on StockTwits told people as well as buying for a bounce, and we got that bounce. And you can see it's not up 314%. VXX has done a 4-for-1 reverse split, and you can see it looks like a penny stock, doesn't it? Dilution. All we're missing is the once a month press release that they're seeing tremendous revenue growth in Zimbabwe. Yes, VXX sales in Zimbabwe have grown 6 trillionth percent. That's all we're missing for VXX to give it some validation. But you can see I'm just trading it for a bounce, and that's what it's used for. It's not for any kind of long duration type trade. It's for a quick trade. Look at this. I'm in it to 1260. Look at that gain there. I might retire tonight. Hopefully my account keeps the same amount of option contracts and everything, and I can sell it $50 from my 25-cent entry on the 1250 calls. That would be great. That would be something. So anyway, I like VXX for upside. Let's go to Price Smart because I brought this up at the blog at OptionMillionaires.com, and you can see I talked about it topping, and that's a top and a half. And look at it just melting. And we're getting close to Christmas time here, and this is what happens to a snowman left in a greenhouse. It melts. And when you get this slow, kind of orderly sell-off, ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to get that capitulation, just like we see here. This was an earnings spike. We're going to see a capitulation sell-off, and I like Price Smart, and I talked about it last week. I talked about it this weekend, talked about it on Monday. We're now into Friday. I said I like it for $10 to $12 a share. I like the 115 puts, and they're already making money. That's what it's all about when you're trading stock options. Let's go to Google. Talked about Google. I put a chart up at OptionMillionaires.com. Love it to this trend line here. just over $1,000. That's going to provide, and that's 1 year support for Google. We can go further back and see it's broken out of this wedge to the upside. So I'd look for support here at 1,000, and then ultimately, if it does decline below that, about 890. But let's see what happens here. We could bounce. I did talk about this previously this year. I said Google's going to make new all-time highs. It did. And here we are. Here we are. What's going to happen going forward? I'll let you know in another video. How about Apple? Apple, to me, still looks very bullish. And you could draw a trend line across right there. You see that pink line. I like Apple. I really do. And I like it for upside to about the $600 level in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a great option trade going forward. Boeing hit new all-time highs today and then has been pulling back. You can see it, a red day, which is not common for Boeing. It's been flying. It's soaring. You can look at the long-term chart for Boeing. The stock broke out of a $75 channel to the upside. It has not looked back, but nothing goes up forever. And you can see it's tremendously overbought, and it looks like it's pulling back here, and I'd like Boeing to pull back to the 15-day moving average, which right now sits at about, well, if you go back to the long-term chart, and like at the 9-month, it's at about 129. And so it's a couple more dollars for Boeing before I think it's going to resume its upside. Again, Federal Reserve, the ECB today cut interest rates. The place to be still remains stocks, but we've seen it before. All these pullbacks have been great buying opportunities, but the pullbacks do indeed happen. So you don't want to be sitting there, buying calls or going long when we do get that pullback. And we'll get that pullback down till we get towards the oversold area like we did back in October of this year, the taper talk, and then August with Syria. We can go back to Cyprus and so forth and so on. We've been talking about option millionaires for quite a while. Let's go to one more stock today. Like for downside, Buffalo Wild Wings. I like to fill this gap here at 130. The options aren't pricing in this kind of move. So let's see. I'll let you know in the chat room at optionmillionaires.com if I do get into that. But it was a nice day for the Bears. I mean, they haven't had too many days where they could celebrate, but a really big red candle today to the downside. Still hasn't put us in oversold territory. We have jobs report coming out tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting day, an interesting close to the week, and we'll see if we get a pullback on some of these high beta names. Priceline reported earnings down 1%. Yelp has been getting torched. Is this a consolidating pattern, or are we going to see further declines for Yelp? Also, we had Tesla falling off a cliff, of course. Again, 135 is the area to watch. If it hits that tomorrow, I'll be buying the calls. Mark my words. All right, UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. See you in the chat room at Option Millionaires. Everyone have a great night and a great trading day tomorrow. Goodbye.